Things I'm doing to heal after losing our baby unexpectedly to Group B strep. Honestly, it's been really basic for me, and I think it's because after going through such an unexpected loss and being postpartum, I was completely overwhelmed. Like completely overwhelmed by life, completely overwhelmed by all of the emotions, completely overwhelmed by grief. And so I wasn't ready to dive deep into big things when it came to my healing. So I really just went back to basics, did what I was able to do and what I felt like I had the bandwidth for, because I really just didn't have the bandwidth for anything. I'm just getting up in the morning when I wake up. So instead of when I wake up, I roll over and look at my phone and scroll and start to see things or anything like that, I'm just getting up instead. I might say a quick prayer, a quick affirmation, but I don't lay there and ruminate in bed. Energy in motion stays in motion. It helps me to not maybe get taken under by any kind of emotions or spirals or what ifs or things that aren't gonna serve me. The second thing I'm doing is I'm starting every single day with 22 ounces of water with electrolytes. So I use Element. I love their salts, and I just use a packet and make sure right after I brush my teeth, I'm drinking 22 ounces of water. I take it with my supplements, and I just wanna make sure I'm hydrating my body. Number 3 is my workouts. I completely cut out any type of high intensity workouts. I was doing some of those before, being postpartum and also being in the thick of grief and knowing that my cortisol was really high and that I really just needed to nourish my body. I went back to weightlifting and I learned about heavy weightlifting and progressive overload. I've been doing that for the last year and also focusing on zone 2 cardio, which has been amazing for transforming not just my body, but my health. I also started to work with a gut specialist in the last year to really heal my gut. I have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune thing, and I knew pregnancy and then grief and cortisol levels being high and all of that was probably just out of whack, and my hormones did take a while to regulate being postpartum. So I decided to work with someone who was specific to fixing the gut without restrictive diets. I had done the whole super restrictive diets to try to heal things for my Hashimoto's, and I was over it, and I was just ready to actually find someone that knew what they were talking about and could help me heal it without doing super restrictive things. So that was really big for my mental health, because Hashimoto's, leaky gut, all of that can really affect your mental health as well. And I knew it was just really time to pour back into myself and help myself as much mentally and emotionally as possible. Something that might sound weird, but it was really important to me, is that I didn't identify as a lost mom. I was very intentional on what I wanted my identity to be in all of this. And I think maybe because I've been through grief before and I've been through identity shaking experiences before, I knew that choosing something as your identity can really affect you emotionally, mentally, physically. It can affect where you go and choices that you make. And while it is a huge part of my story, and he will always be a huge part of my story, I knew that's what it was, part of my story, but it was not who I am. And I gave myself permission to not take that identity of I'm a lost mom. I guess I just like to say it as I've experienced loss. I've walked through something incredibly challenging, probably the hardest thing I will ever live through. And it's not who I am. It's not a reflection of where I'm going. It's not a reflection of what's possible or the life that I get to create or live. And so I was just really intentional with that and my identity in the last year. Grief really highlights what no longer fits. And so I did a lot of cleaning out my house, cleaning out my closet, cleaning out friends, cleaning out anything and everything that just didn't feel like it was serving me, anything that felt heavy, anything that felt blah. And I really gave myself permission to lean into that and to lean into what was lighting me up now, what made me feel good now, what felt like me now, because you change after going through something like this. You're not the same person. And so I gave myself permission to just let go and clean out of a lot, knowing that I was making space for who I wanted to be and what was coming and the people I wanted to bring into my life and the future I wanted to create. Something I've been very intentional with is not just my workouts every day, but getting ready every day, making myself do my makeup and put on an outfit and let myself buy new outfits. And I made sure that I bought outfits instead of pieces. I feel like I've always just shopped for pieces, and then I end up with a closet full of clothes that I don't actually use. And because I was postpartum, but also like really transforming my body with my workouts, I really wanted clothes that reflected how I wanted to feel. Maybe I didn't feel that way automatically, but how I wanted to feel. And so I leaned into figuring out who the new me was with new outfits that I got. And that made a really big difference. Probably the hardest one is just remembering the big picture. And for me, that's like a daily thing, multiple times a day, especially in the beginning, is like remembering this too shall pass, and that this isn't the entirety of life. And it feels like it when you first go through it, especially, it's like all you can think about, it's all you can feel, it like consumes you. But just really intentionally pulling myself out of that and reminding myself, like, I have 2 beautiful children, I have a husband that loves me, like I have this other life, and that gets to be my reality. Like 50 years down the road, this is still gonna be part of my story, and this is still going to be a loss, but it's not going to be my entire life. It's gonna be a drop in the bucket of experiences that I've had, and just really helping myself like remember that was really comforting and really helped me to keep moving forward when it felt like I was drowning and all I could do was think about it. Something I did to heal, which sounds weird, but it was to find other people that had been through the same thing, to find other lost families that had gone through Group B strep. So because I talked about his story and what happened, someone reached out to me that had been through it, and they told me about a Facebook group. So I joined a Facebook group that's for Group B strep families, and most of them have experienced loss. And being able to find other people's stories and to hear what they went through was oddly healing, because it makes you feel like you're less alone, and it helps you to deal with the like, what was wrong with me? How did I miss this? Because it's so easy to blame yourself, or to think if you had just done one other thing, like this probably would have turned out differently. But then you hear tons of other stories and you realize that that's not the case. And it's oddly healing, because it kind of helps you to let go of that blame. It helps you to let go of thinking it could have been different. And it really helps you like move more into acceptance. At least it did for me. Being able to hear other people's stories and get like a me too, like really helped me move more into acceptance. I would say sharing his story when I felt ready on different platforms, whether it was on YouTube or Instagram, whatever, sharing his story when I felt ready, talking about him when I wanted to and when I felt ready and when I wanted to really like honor him, but also not forcing myself to make my entire life about him and my entire page about him, because again, I was like, this is a part of my story, but this isn't who I am in an entirety. And so I guess it was healing to share his story and talk about it, but that came with the caveat of like when I was ready and when I felt led to, and giving myself permission to really like lean into that and to follow that, to not have it be everything or nothing, like really give myself permission to be in the gray. Something I did to heal, obviously, was a lot of somatic work, especially in the beginning. And when I say somatic work, I mean like body processing when it comes to emotions, trauma, things like that. And I say obviously because I'm a coach. I have been a coach for years and I've helped other people with this. So it was tools that I had in my toolbox after going through this. So that looked like a lot of anger exercises in the first few months afterwards, like a lot of physical moving emotions through my body physically. It looked like some breathwork sessions. But again, I didn't like push that. I didn't like, okay, here we go, and I'm just gonna like hard dive into this and do this every single day, because I knew I had already been through so much. My body had already been through so much that I wasn't ready to just do like a deep dive into all of that in the beginning. So I gave myself time to like ease into that. I did it when it served me, when I felt like, okay, I'm really weighed down. I need to move some stuff through. But I didn't force myself to do it as a daily thing just because I should, to heal. And that was really, really big, because in the beginning, your body's not ready. Like you're in shock, you've been through trauma, your cortisol is crazy high. Like the last thing you need to do is be like pushing yourself more. So I gave myself permission to use that as a tool, but also just to like give myself time to be ready for that. Something that we did like as a family to really heal was we got like trips on the calendar, and we had things that we were looking forward to, and we created a lot of memories the first year afterwards. Especially, we left town for the summer and traveled for literally 6 weeks, and we just got to hang out as a family and like go new places and make new memories and see new things. And that was really, really big, because it's easy for me especially to just like sit at home. I can totally sit at home, sit in my routine and not see anybody, especially after going through this. I'm like, I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to hole up at home. Like, very easy for me to do that. So it was really good to force myself to like get out and do things and like live a little bit, because it helps you kind of like mark time, maybe in a way, as it goes by, and like show yourself that life still happens and there is still joy to be had and there's still beauty in your life and things for you to experience, that like this isn't your end. So yeah, that's what I've been doing to heal. I'm sure it'll change as time goes by, but hopefully it helps some of you, maybe with some ideas or just permission or knowing that you're not alone. So if you like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you back on the channel real soon.